Hi, I'm actor Ian Champion, and welcome to History of Horror Cinema, my personal podcast tour of the good, bad, and the ugly of horror movie history. If you like what you hear, please don't forget to hit subscribe. The Leopard Man, 1943. A mere 17 days after releasing their second horror collaboration of distinction, Lewton and Tourneur had also unleashed The Leopard Man into the wild for RKO. It was a testament to their brilliance and Lewton's marvelous team that they could sustain outstanding work of care and depth under the studio's relentless B-movie scheduling. This latest project, its title once more forced upon them by the studio, had more in common with Cat People than its animal-human connection. Similarly, it contained rich layers of meaning well beyond the remit of the usual low-budget factory-style quickie. Certainly, The Leopard Man has the hair-raising suspense required, but at the same time is dense with themes, some of which were purposefully sewn in by Lewton with screenwriter R. Del Rey, writer of I Walked with a Zombie, and Edward Dean, based on Cornell Woolrich's novel. The film's preoccupation with humanity and inhuman cruelty, while it was shot at the height of World War II conflict, may have sunk in more by osmosis for future generations to note with their greater retrospective clarity. Then there is the personal expression of Lewton himself. Such a close relationship of supervising every aspect of his films meant that they reflected his concerns and worldview as surely as if he wrote or directed them himself. The Leopard Man's inciting relationship is a clear depiction of rivalry between two nightclub performers, the sultry Kiki, Lewton regular Jean Brooks, and coquettish flamenco dancer Clu Clu, Mexican actress-dancer Margot. To upstage her rival, Kiki's press agent boyfriend Jerry Manning, Dennis O'Keefe, brings a black leopard on a leash to her dressing room. The stunt backfires, though, when the fiery Clu Clu deliberately taunts the restless cat with her clacking castanets, causing it to flee the club and scratch a waiter in passing. Thinking no more of the incident, Clu Clu heads home, where an enigmatic fortune teller, Maria, pesters her into a single card reading in her shadowy doorway. This produces the so-called death card of the Ace of Spades, a persistent image within the film's meditation on fate, as well as hinting at Robert de Grasse's evocative lighting. At this point, a recurring structural device comes into play that cleverly unsettles the viewer, confounding our usual expectations. We suddenly shift perspective from one established character's storyline, assumed to be a lead part, to another. We are introduced to teenager Teresa Delgado, Margaret Landry, whose fear of going out alone at night is dismissed by her mother's urgent need for provisions. Transitions like this add intrigue. We can't take for granted who is the main focus, so we pay attention to everyone, looking for clues and connections. In his illuminating DVD commentary, much-missed director and fan William Friedkin suggested that this may have inspired Hitchcock's groundbreaking sudden murder of his presumed main character Marion Crane 40 minutes into Psycho. Maria's trip back from an outlying grocery store is filled with tension as she enters an underpass. Here, the staging recalls the mounting dread looming over Jane Randolph's homeward walk in Cat People, yet now we glimpse the feline stalker above her. De Grasse's oppressive shading combines with Tourneur's sure handling of pace. John C. Grubb's detailed sound design echoes water droplets in the girl's otherwise deathly silent progress through the tunnel, till Mark Robson's sharp editing shocks us with the shrieking blast of a train going by, briefly lighting Maria's face. That superbly effective Lewton bus again, which we were introduced to as a jump shock technique in Cat People. There is added suggestive artistry as the poor girl arrives at her front door. Just as we hear her arrive, we can only hear Maria scream, the terrible growl of the leopard as it attacks, and a dreadful seeping of blood under the door. The reliance on pure audio is a cunning masterstroke of economy, forcing the viewer to imagine her demise in the very worst way, whilst saving money and evading the censorious clause of the Breen production code. Teresa's death hits everyone in the community hard, except Kiki. At the funeral parlor, she is remarkably unsympathetic, softly admonishing Jerry, "Don't be soft," when he feels enough guilt about the leopard to want to donate money to her family. Kiki's current feelings will become part of her emotional journey as the story unfolds. So too will those of Jerry. The theme of guilt is another that will resonate throughout the town. bonding everyone together in grief. To track the big cat, Jerry enlists the advice of an academic expert in the field of leopards, the tweedy, pipe-puffing curator of the local museum, a nicely etched Dr. Galbraith by actor James Bell, who is regularly cast as reasonable authority figures. He is a very cool customer indeed, cozy in the profundity of wisdom he expounds to the earnest Jerry about our inability to comprehend our own actions and destiny. We know as little about the forces that move us and move the world around us as that empty ball does, he says wistfully. He refers to an interesting visual motif that Tourneur returns to repeatedly, a ball suspended on the waterspout from the nightclub's fountain. The dueling performers encircle it at the start, and by referencing it in later scenes, we are reminded of the ineffable path of life. This is no help to Jerry, though. As Clou-Clou is caught stealing a rose from the florist, here again the plot glides us away to another life altogether that will be impacted by events. A maid gifts her a rose from her bouquet and then takes us into an idyllic birthday wake-up for her mistress Consuela, Tuliki Pananan. With expert economy, we are told that she has a secret lover, Raoul, and will spend the afternoon awaiting him in the cemetery near her father's grave. This, sadly, will end up as her final resting place too, yet not before another key idea is imprinted on us. Throughout his real life, Lewton acutely felt the loss of his father. His mother shipped the family from Russia to America without him after her failed marriage. It is hard to know how consciously this emotional wound influenced his work, especially as grief not only manifests in many forms, but can also be extremely private. However, the lack of an absent father figure occurs often, particularly in The Leopard Man. Each victim is a vulnerable female without the comfort of this vital relationship. It is no coincidence that Kiki, secure in Jerry's protection, is never in danger. Indeed, in Consuela's case, she is doubly disappointed. Raoul is an unreliable no-show, and upon realizing she is locked in the graveyard, a wise elder statesman statue looks on impotently as she tries to get out. The mounting horror is even more subtly conveyed here than in Teresa's plight. A possible male savior is only a voice over the wall, who leaves her against her protests to find a ladder. Crucially, Consuela's killer is also unseen. A masterful bowing branch effect is the only clue to the pouncing of feline death upon her. By now, Jeff has become obsessed with solving the killings for which he feels responsible. He finds himself caught between two opposing opinions. Charlie Howcome, Abner Biberman, the aggrieved Indian owner of the leopard, believes that an extraordinary creature is behind the killings. It doesn't know how to hunt its natural prey. Jerry is convinced that the culprit may be a man. Galbraith agrees, going as far as to speculate about Charlie as a suspect, an insensitive joke which poor Charlie takes to heart. "I'm sick," he moans in self-condemnation, like Larry Talbot in The Wolfman, and promptly implores the local cops to put him into protective custody. Meanwhile, Clou-Clou is given a macabre clue of her own destiny by the constant resurfacing of that death card, no matter how the fortune-teller reshuffles the deck. "Something black. Something on its way to you," she tells the dancer. She is offered a ride home by a Stetson-wearing Samaritan, Russell Wade, the voice that tried to help Consuela, but shuns him, fearing his black car is a portent of possible death. Wade would drive on to play a lead role in Lewton's The Body Snatcher in 1945. Clou-Clou's gold-digging nature seals her doom. She gets home, then leaves again to look for a dropped $100 chip given to her by an avuncular faux sugar daddy at the club, William Halligan. This once more illustrates the theme of the unconscious control that guides our actions. Her death at the hands of something still unseen is prefigured only by an eerily heavy shuffling sound. Gradually, the pace increases, and it is here that the townsfolk confront their failings honestly, leading each one to overcome their past in favor of a new sense of community care. The hard-nosed Kiki reveals to Jerry the hidden compassion masked by her survivalist shell. Confession: "I'm a complete softie." The enigmatic alcoholic Raoul, Richard Martin, is infected by the pall of guilt hanging over the town, and mans up to assist Jerry. Galbraith makes it back to the museum after an unsettling walk home. He feels hunted, even behind closed doors. We hear his footsteps echo inside. an effect signalled earlier but now strangely sinister. The clack of Clu-Clu's castanets haunt him. Suddenly, Kiki appears, and we realize that he is the chief suspect. What follows is an extremely powerful and haunting climax, beginning with Galbraith overpowered, while in the background we hear the ethereal chanting of the approaching Festival of the Dead. The costumes of the procession leaders radiate foreboding. Black monk robes topped with faceless hoods, trooping to an inexorable appointment with doom. Galbraith's eroding composure dissolves into sweaty gibbering as he is frog-marched by Jerry and Raoul across a beautifully lit landscape of dusky gloom. "You don't know what it means to be tormented this way," he gibbers. Any sympathy earned is soon vaporized by the almost pornographic pleasure he takes in recounting the last moments of his prey. A little frail body, soft skin, and then she screamed. Mercifully, Raoul saves the state a sickening trial of hearing such testimony by shooting him. The galvanizing of the better aspects of humanity to purge evil from their midst must surely have been a moral imperative for the filmmakers in the awful daily turbulence of World War II. Although Galbraith's character seeks to shed light on the criminal mind, where he can, considering his stated position about our unfathomability, that hope would be tested to its limits 2 years later, when concentration camps such as Belsen were liberated of the emaciated human victims of a truly unfathomable malice. Thanks for listening. If you like what you hear, please don't forget to hit subscribe.